I got an anonymous tip my 40 male, wife, 44 female is in 2 videos and at 99% looks to be her, but she denies it. I replied to the email asking for more info, but the tipster hasn't responded. Should I drop the subject? Try to find more evidence. I got an anonymous email that read, "You deserve to know, this is your wife," and it included links to 2 porn films. The movies are roughly 15 minutes long and are more like taped sessions than actual porn, if that makes sense. They depict gloomy hotel rooms, thus the quality is fairly grainy, and they were filmed from specific spots, such as a shelf or tripod. I can hardly understand anything since the audio is so quiet, even with the volume turned all the way up with headphones. I'm almost certain it's my wife, and it's the same man in both films. My 1% of uncertainty stems mostly from the fact that the individual is not wearing a wedding band. Also, to be clear to everyone here, I will not share links or identifying information. For the videos, I responded to the email, "How did you come to know about me? How did you come upon this?" I haven't received an answer yet, and I doubt I will. My wife flatly denies it, but it looks just like her, even down to the mannerisms. The films were uploaded 2 years ago, however I'm sure that's not when they were shot. Worse, during this discussion, my wife accused me of being an in-the-closet porn addict, despite the fact that I had stopped watching porn before I met her, saying it's possible that I could have just found someone who looked like her while watching porn, sent myself the email, and now I'm falsely accusing her. Except I wasn't necessarily accusing her, I was simply asking her about it. It's simply my suspicions versus her denials, and I don't have any additional proof, so the talk ran in circles. And now we're on take time to think/cool off not speaking terms for a few days. Should I just drop the topic and apologize for not believing her straight away? Is there a way to locate additional proof that I haven't considered? The website does not disclose anything, such as the identity of the individual who posted it, and neither do the video title, tags, or comments. Finally, later that evening, the tipster answered, saying that he or she works at my wife's workplace and also knows the other person in the video. The second person works for their firm as well, but at a different office, and he has to visit their office on a regular basis. The tipster believed it couldn't be a coincidence that 2 persons who resembled my wife and this man were in the same video, particularly because the tipster said they're not shy about conversing a lot at work. The tipster claims he or she discovered the video while looking for porn, and they wanted to remain anonymous because they don't enjoy combining porn with work, particularly since the browsing led them to 2 individuals who are genuine coworkers. As extra verification, the tipster provided me with the other guy's information. I checked him up on Facebook and LinkedIn, and he resembles the man in the video. Interestingly, she and he are not buddies, connected, or anything on either of those sites, which is somewhat unsurprising given the necessity for concealment. I stayed up late looking for and utilizing tools to clean up the video and audio. I was able to significantly enhance the audio, and the voice sounds just like my wife's, both when she chats and when she makes noises. I was also able to make the video a little clearer, particularly in the backdrop that isn't moving, but it's still not fantastic overall. It did allow me to see that on the nightstand was an Apple Watch with a bejeweled bracelet-type band, which she wears depending on her attire. Early this morning, I informed my wife about specific elements of the tipster's answer, such as this individual knowing both of them and connecting the dots. I didn't tell her it was someone she worked with, but I'm sure she could figure it out. I showed her the extra material I had looked for and discovered, as well as having her watch a few minutes of the videos again, now cleaned up. After that, she backtracked and said that it probably did look like her in the video, but she had been in denial since before seeing the recordings since she was astonished that it had been filmed. When I questioned who that person was, she answered, "Someone I was just dating a month or 2 ago." I inquired how long ago that was, whether it was before she and I met, and she said, of course. Except it's highly doubtful that it was before she and I met, since she's only been at her present job for the last 6 years, and this guy's Facebook history shows he's always lived like 4 hours away from us, and my wife has never resided in a place near where he is. I informed her of my judgment of the improbable timing, given that he works for her employer but does not reside close, and I inquired as to how they had met. She said she thought they met via individuals in her business circles before she began working where she is now, but she couldn't remember who specifically since it had been so long. I told her that I doubted she was being totally honest, but that if she had material that might back up her version of events, I'd be willing to check into it. Otherwise, I'd have to continue seeking for information on my own. She became enraged, claiming that she was angry that I didn't trust her, and that I had responded to this random email instead of believing her and being done with it, and that I was still not done with it. This was all happening as she was getting ready for work, and she was so irritated by the chat that she cut her get-ready routine short and immediately left. On taking the day off to reflect on my own view on everything and the choices I should make as a consequence of it all, but I'm not averse to separating for a bit, if only for a few weeks, and seeing how I feel after that. I really fear we're coming home from work today, with that type of tensile tension that I'm sure will be in the air despite my best efforts to avoid her. Mostly, I'm upset and defeated, since she's probably definitely lying about the time. I mean, there's the slightest of tiniest chance it's from before we met, but it's so improbable that I don't believe it's worth the effort to investigate. I considered contacting him personally, but I'm not sure that's a smart idea. I was even thinking about when the original Apple Watch was released, as several commenters pointed out. I suppose my brain isn't quite clear right now. I requested to see a buddy for lunch, and perhaps I'll be able to do so. I definitely need some more feedback, but I also just feel meh about it, and I'm hoping that talking about it with other people would help with my sentiments in general. Even yet, it's difficult for me because I don't want to be one of those furious, insane individuals that tries to trash their marital turmoil to everybody and everyone who knows me and / or my wife and would listen to me. Story 2. My narcissistic STBX is cheating and using me. My STBX and I have been married for over 3 decades, and while we have been estranged for some time, we had discussed going to counseling. In January, I realized that calls were being placed when our bedroom door was closed. When I checked my mobile phone records, I discovered that I had made many hour-long calls while working the 3rd shift. I looked up the number and found out his name and address via voter registration. In our bedroom before work, I put up an old phone to capture sounds. The first phone conversations made it plain that they were romantically interested. They hadn't done anything physical yet, since they were waiting for COVID vaccinations, but there was discussion of intimacy and sharing of images, veiled illusions, and so on. When I inquired about the closed-door phone conversations, obliviously worried about a terminal family member, I was ignored and informed that sometimes it's simpler to chat than it is to text. Then followed a phone conversation in which she gave him complete falsehoods about us, claiming that I was not in the home, that she had informed me about working on a connection with this new person, and that our marriage was ended and that we needed to see other people. All of this while still living in our home, with 2 children aged 21 and 14, and having no qualms about allowing me to cook, clean, pay bills, and so on. Vaccine day arrives, literally, the day of the first dosage, and there's a late-night work meeting, legitimate, followed by an odd late-night trip. I was informed that a buddy had a nut allergy and needed to be monitored. The address I saw on voter registration was the same as the destination. 2 days later, she received a phone call that sounded like him breaking up with her, to which she repeatedly replied, "If that's how you feel, Tuesday shouldn't have occurred," Tuesday being the night of the meeting. Near the conclusion, while they talked becoming friends, she praised him for making their first time enjoyable. She voiced fear about closeness with someone new, and she vividly recounted an act performed. A few days later, I got a call about an arrangement, one she won't tell her friends about, he requested, because they'll condemn him or believe she'll be harmed. But she explicitly said she knows the expectations. Then I got access to her text online family plan and I'm the account owner. And it turns out the deal is that he'll teach her how to be a better partner, and she'll please him whenever he wants, 4 times in the last 2 weeks, and she's also talking to another guy she met through some app or site, and they've been on 2 dates. I'd called a lawyer and am proceeding with the divorce, gathering my belongings before informing her. I'm sorry she feels so ill of me, but hasn't done anything to leave. I'll happily assist her in leaving. She is unable to maintain herself financially, while I am able to do so without the combined expenditures. My intention is to seek primary custody of our 14-year-old. Our 21-year-old is already employed and intends to leave. I can't afford to move us out right now, and we'll have to sell our home, so I'm considering staying with her until we settle things and clear out the house. She has no idea what I know, and when I face her next weekend, I fully anticipate gaslighting and half-truth.